I'm Sandra Barfield. I'm Senior Vice President of Shared Services at PeakMade Real Estate. An awesome relationship. We've been working with the Elise team for almost 3 years now. So we were, I think, one of the early adopters. And because it was so new to us back then, we really just enjoyed that partnership that we had in the early stages, and even today, of course. But everyone has been super supportive, really helpful to us in building out our strategy and supporting that strategy, and helping us from all things, just building the foundation all the way through training, our centralized and our on-site teams, and then just the engagement rate that we get. We rolled out the EliseAI. We actually rolled out the technology and our central team at the same time in a pilot scenario, and that allowed us to really learn how it operates and how to build that into our processes so that it's really more of a full circle experience, not only for our centralized team, but for the residents and their experience as well. So, we helped build out the knowledge for that. We're student housing, so there was a component of it that might be a little bit different from multifamily in the sense that we have, future residents coming in all at one time. And then the bad debt recovery was an aspect that didn't exist the first year that we were on delinquency. So we actually were able to partner with your team and build that out pretty quickly that first year, and then help refine it. And that's a huge component for student, because everybody moves out in mass and all the FMOs get done at the same time. And so everything's somewhat compressed with high volume. And so it was really helpful to build that out that first year to allow our centralized team the opportunity to manage incoming residents with rent collections, and then the past residents with any bad debt recovery. The AI really did the work in the background and let them focus on more of the day-to-day activities that they needed to oversee. As it relates to the voice AI, we actually were on a full service call center and had to make a decision pretty quickly for various reasons. And so we were able to quickly pivot and go on to the resident voice, and we didn't miss a beat. It was very seamless. Our teams adapted to it really, really well. In fact, they loved it because it helped them managing the missed calls and the volume of those that happened so that they could focus on the residents. They didn't have to worry about missing those calls. They knew they were in good hands, and we've had tremendous success with that. It's been so much better because, particularly, and I know I speak about student a lot, but a lot of our workforce inside the leasing offices are part-time employees. And so it takes them a minute to get around the learning curve of building the relationships with prospects and with residents. And so it helps to just have that AI to supplement that. And they typically are not as good with follow-up. And so the AI supplements all of that as well. And it kind of takes the pressure off of them for having to make those phone calls. Not that they don't do that, they still do, but we've learned how to balance the two so that the AI is doing the heavy lifting, and it just relieves the pressure on the on-site team so that they can focus on more important things in terms of preparing for move-in, for instance, or preparing for events, things like that. So we saw a 42% payroll savings in that position just by bringing that into a centralized environment. And then one of my favorite things was just the early rent collections and the increase in performance that happened with that. We saw roughly about, if I remember correctly, about 15% higher collections by the 5th of the month, almost instantly, just because of the preemptive communication with the resident. If you're on site, you're waiting to make those phone calls or send the late notices on the day after, rent is late. The AI is reminding them in advance. And so we saw an immediate impact in that particular area. So yeah, it's been great.